Michael!
Speak easy, woman. Are you waking me?
If you want to sleep, go on to bed. And don't be sitting there in the draught. No wonder you're complaining about your pains. Here's the book Father Kelly sent down.
The life of Abraham Lincoln. You know, Mary, that's what this country needs. A man like Abraham Lincoln.
Ah, never mind the speech. Keep it for your cronies in the public house.
But it's a fact. This country needs a Lincoln far more than the niggers in America ever needed one. There's slavery from one end of this nation to the other. Aye, there is, and there's slavery right here in Ballygreen, right under your very nose.
Oh, just because you have to do a decent day's work at the mill, you think you're a slave. You'll be telling me next that Mr. Macmillan stands over you with a whip.
He goes damn near it. He doesn't stand over me, I'll admit, because if he did, I'd soon tell himself and his shadow where to go. But there are a few fellas down there, young lads, and he gives them a dog's life. One of these days I'll take pity on the poor devils and I'll give that old nigger whipper a bit of my mind.
Do, if you want to find yourself out in the street. And I don't think love on the dole would appeal to Lizzie Casey.
Lizzie Casey. How many times have I thought you never mentioned that Brad balloon's name in this house again? I saw you think because you're my sister you can keep pestering me from morning till night about Lizzie Casey. Well, I'm going to put an end to this damn stuff once and for all. For the past 20 years you've been pestering me trying to marry me after that one. Well, you can try for another 20. But Mick Shannon will be still a bachelor. Lord, service, if I ever lost my senses and tied myself to that star, I suppose I'd have to go and write another Uncle Tom's Cabin. Never mention Lizzie Casey's sweet dame in this house again.
Good night, what's all the night about? It's just one of his periodical fits of temper, Maury. See if you can cool him down. I'll be back to fix up the dress for you in a minute or two. I must run over to Rooney's. You might have a shame of you.
Lizzie Casey?
What's that is? What's the name of the book?
'Tis the life of Abraham Lincoln. And it's the kind of a book you should be reading instead of their whole love of the trash. Them all novels about love and romance that has you and Lizzie Casey and the rest of you like, yeah. Lizzie Casey. Lord service, if I ever lost my senses and married that star, I suppose she'd expect me to go out every night and sing Rosie McCanter under the moon. Why, God, wouldn't I look well?
I was reading a grand story last night, Uncle Michael.
Yeah?
And it reminded me nothing of yourself and Lizzie. There was this woman, she was a lovely man. We wouldn't have her at all. She kept trying for 30 years. It was all the same. Then one day the doctor told me there was 6 months to live. Well, what do you think he did? He didn't like this girl at all, but he knew she was in love with him, and didn't he marry her?
Did you?
He knew he'd only 6 months to live, so he decided he'd sacrifice himself to make the poor thing happy for once in her life.
Well, I hope he did die.
I don't know, I didn't read the last chapter yet.
You needn't bother reading it. If he didn't die natural death, he committed suicide.
Heavens, Uncle Michael, getting married isn't as bad as all that.
Listen now, girlie. I can see where this conversation is drifting. But I give you one warning. If you mention Lizzie Casey to me again, I'll put you across my knee and I'll give you the greatest scalping you ever got in your life.
All right, wouldn't mind you.
Did I tell you? Did you hear what I said? I'd better leave you alone.
Where are you going?
I'm going for a walk with Lizzie Casey.
Michael, come back here. You said a minute ago that this country needed another Abraham Lincoln. Well, if you ask me, it's another Father Matthew at once. You were just going off to fill yourself and your friends with Leonard's filthy porter. Day in, day out, it's the same old story. You come in from work, and before your tea has time to reach your stomach, you're off to the public house.
I was going up to the chapel to say a few prayers. And you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that you prevented me. Every day for the past 35 years I've been going up there after my church to say a few prayers every evening. And this is the first evening that I'd have missed that habit. I hope you feel proud of yourself.
Prayers indeed. The patron saying to the chapel you were going to have the red nose.
Well, that's a nice how do you do. A fellow can't even go to say his prayers now.
Your Aunt Mary's a suspicious mind.
And she doesn't keep her suspicions herself either. But I'm damned if I leave a woman's tongue stand between me and my eternal salvation. I'm going for the she likes it or not.
Don't forget to say one to me, Uncle Michael.
Oh, so you don't believe me either? Well, you can think what you like. Thanks be to God, my religion is strong enough for the two of you.
He's gone, I see. Won't it be grand to have a canonized saint in the family? There's someone at the door. I'll see who it is. This gentleman wants to see you, Aunt Mary. Good evening.
Good evening, Mrs. Shannon.
Miss Shannon, if you don't mind.
I thought she was sensible right enough. I must have picked it up wrong.
Who are you?
Henry's the name, Peter Sebastian Henry, and I'm representing the Raven Publishing Company.
What do you want?
Oh, it's not something I want, Miss Shannon, it's something you want.
What are you talking about?
Miss Shannon, I have here a book, on which every housewife in the country needs. And the title is The Complete Household Encyclopedia. It contains information on every domestic subject under the sun.
It appears to be a very heavy volume, Mr. Henry. Don't waste your energy, take it out, because I don't want it.
There's a section on gardening, a section on first aid, a section on household repairs. You have absolutely no idea how useful this book can be.
Mr. Henry, I don't want it. I've been keeping house for over 30 years, and I don't need a book to tell me what to do.
If you break a window, it tells you how to repair it. If you sprain your ankle, it tells you how to mend it. If on the paper the parlour, it tells you how to do so without making a mess of it. It tells you how to keep milk from getting sour. It tells you how to wash delicate garments. And it even tells you how to mend punctures on a bicycle.
Mr. Henry, I never break windows. I never sprain my ankle. My brother does all the papering. I know how to keep milk from going sour. I haven't worn delicate garments since I was 12 years old, and I never ride a bicycle.
It contains thousands of labour-saving hints. When you get it, you'll wonder how you ever managed without it.
You talk a hole through a pot.
There's a section on pot mending in it. There's something about everything. It's the most amazing value in the world for £15.
£15?
And cheap at that price. You know, I was talking to a lady who bought them for me the other day, and she said it was the wisest £15 she ever spent. She said it was worth double the money. If only for one thing, it kept her husband out of the public house at night. Well, he looked through the book, and he found simple methods of doing hundreds of little jobs around the house. He discovered that he was such a handy chap, after all. Now he spends all his evenings at home, instead of going to the pub. You have no husband, Miss Shannon, but I thought I'd tell you that.
I have no husband, Mr. Henry, but I have a brother who fits into the picture very well, and I should very much like to be able to keep him out of the public houses at night. But I'm afraid your book wouldn't be of much use. Besides, it's none of your business.
I suppose not, but wouldn't it be worth trying at the same time?
Young man, if I thought there was the slightest chance, I'd buy a dozen of your precious books. But I know my brother, and I can assure you
that if he had to make a choice between household repairs and Guinness's stout, he'd give Guinness his first, second, third and fourth vote.
The same drink is a terrible thing too, Miss Shannon.
It's the 7 deadly sins rolled into one. And it's incurable.
Ah, no, I wouldn't say that at all. I knew a chap who was a hopeless drunkard for years. And now he walks on the opposite side of the street when he sees the Guinness advertisement.
How was he cured?
As a matter of fact, should I cure him?
You? How?
Ah, that's something I couldn't be telling you. If that was ever found out, I'd have to grow a beard, or wear a steel-breasted plate.
Well, I wish you'd try it on my brother, whatever it was. If you cured him from drinking, I'd buy 2 of your books. One for the kitchen fire, and one for the fire in my bedroom.
You speak lightly, Miss Shannon, but mind you, I could cure him.
You have a standing invitation to try.
This is getting interesting. This is getting very interesting. Do you smoke?
No.
Or do you want mind if I smoke?
No.
If I cure your brother, will you buy 2 of my books?
Yes?
I'm inclined to take on with the assignment. Well, your brother?
He isn't far away.
Right. Let me along with him for 15 minutes, and I'll turn him into the dry sea toaster on God's earth.
I'd love to know how, Mr. Henry.
You get your brother, and I'll do the rest.
Okay. Maureen, will you run out and find Michael at good Gary?
He's the chap, isn't he, Millie?
Yes.
Of course, Miss Shannon, this is a new understanding that you'll buy 2 of my books if I'm successful.
Oh, yes.
Well, right. I will try to take on with that assignment. Where's your brother?
He was the chap, Millie.
Did you want me, Mary?
Yes, Michael. This is Dr. Henry. He came all the way from Dublin to see you.
To see me?
Yes, Mr. Shannon. Your sister thought you wasn't looking well at all lately, so she sent to me. We're all friends now.
She thought I wasn't looking well. What the hell is she talking about? I'm as strong and as healthy as a hog.
There's no need to get excited, Mr. Shannon. You better leave us alone, Miss Shannon. No, sit down there, my good man, and calm yourself.
I won't sit down here. I'm better understand than you are. Oh, what the flaming fiddlesticks is this all about? Do you mean to tell me that that one sent for you to come down here to examine me?
That's just what she did.
Ah, she's that scaring me, that one.
That's right, Mr. Shannon. Sit down and take it easy, eh?
I'm sitting here because I want to sit here, not because you asked me to. And you really mean that she sent for you to come down here to examine me? Eh? Well, I think she must be mad. There's no doubt about it.
Look here, Mr. Shannon. Your sister did a very sensible thing in sending for me. Very often, a person's ill health is obvious to everyone except himself. Evidently, your sister noticed little symptoms of ill health that have escaped you yourself. As a matter of fact, the moment you came in the door, I could see you were far from being well. Your eyes looked tired, and there was a general nervousness about you.
Yes, there. You'll be seeing me for a priest in a minute.
It's a fact. Now, don't let us waste any more time. Take off your coat.
For what?
I'd like to give you a brief look over.
Listen, lad. If you think you're going to start thumping my chest, you're mistaken. The best thing you could do now is take your baggage and flip it back to wherever you came from. I don't need no doctor. I'm a fine, healthy, strong fellow in the prime of my youth.
Look here, Mr. Shannon. It's no trouble at all for me to take my bag and to walk out of here. Your sister has paid me my fee in advance, and if you refuse to let me examine you, well, that's not my fault. But your sister and I are all friends, and I don't think to be fair to walk out now without a struggle. And if you had any sense of gratitude, you'd only be too anxious to cooperate. After all, it's for your heart that you went all this trouble and expense.
But my good man, I'm as fit as a fiddle.
If you're as fit as a fiddle, I'll tell you so, and that'll be dangerous.
I think the whole damn lot of your man. Come on, let's get it over.
Just a moment now. I'd like to get some information on your background. For instance, where do you work?
I work in a mill for an overbearing slave driver called Macmillan.
Just so. You live here alone?
No, my sister comes home to me.
You have only one sister?
Oh, that's all thanks be to God.
And who's the other young lady that was here?
Oh, she's my niece, Marlene Shannon.
Marlene Shannon. Where does she live?
About a mile down the road.
Down the road. In what direction, Mr. Shannon?
In that direction, the first house beyond the bridge. What the hell has she got to do with my house?
My good man, I've been with you many years studying complications of medicine. And surely you don't expect me to divulge the secret surgeon I made?
All right, what else do you want to know about her?
She's not married.
No, and as far as I know, she has no prospects. Do you want to feel her pulse?
No. I think we've enough to be going on with now. Let me see.
Well, did you find anything wrong?
The last time you saw a doctor, did he say anything about your heart?
He did. He said to drive a 6B watch.
Just as I thought.
He gave me 6 months to live. So, fool. He must have been listening to his own happy day within a few weeks.
Look here, Mr. Shannon. He wasn't such an old fool at all. You're a good, sensible man in the world, and I know you don't like people beating around the bush with you. So I'm going to be frank and tell you, man to man, what your condition is.
Do you know how long ago that was? When he gave me 6 months to live? 34 years last January.
As I was saying, Mr. Shannon, he wasn't a fool at all. And to make a long story short, if you continue in your present way, you'll be inside your grave inside 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Do you agree?
You really think that, do you really mean to stand there and tell me that I'll be in my grave within 3 weeks?
Do you drink?
I'm not Rob.
What do you mean by not, Doc? Every night?
Oh, no, not every night. I said I'm got your pub on a Thursday.
Just as I thought. My good man, you were suffering from a particularly fatal heart disease brought about by the consumption of intoxicating drink. And to make a long story short, if you continue in your present way, you'll be inside your grave inside 3 weeks.
3 weeks, you said? I thought you were going to tell me I had only another 34 years to live.
Mr. Shannon, I have done my duty. It makes no difference to me what you believe. It is your heart, your life.
I thought you expect me to believe you. And have you come down here 3 or 4 times every week at about 5 or 6 pounds a time? You'll waste your time with that. The best thing you could do now is get your trimmings and get out of here.
I know it is a hard thing to believe, Mr. Shannon, but I can assure you it's a fact. I have devoted nearly all my time as a doctor to the study of the human heart, and I know a bad case when I see one. This disease is not like other diseases. Today you're as fit as a fiddle, tomorrow you're as dead as a doornail. Just like that, snap, and out goes the candle.
Like I said before, if you don't get out of here before I lose what's left of my temper, snap and out goes the candle. You just snap off the head out of here.
I'm afraid you're mistaken, my poor man. I'm not trying to sponge me out of you. As a matter of fact, if I came down here every day, the fact still remains, you're a doomed man. Oh, you can refuse to believe it if you like. It makes no difference to me. I have done my duty, so I'll bid you good evening.
Come back here a minute. Sit down again, Doctor. I'm sorry if I was rough with you. But you know, I was always a bit worried about my heart. And lately, I thought I was getting a bit excited. If I stopped drinking and led a very easy life, how long do you think I'd stick it?
I'm afraid you wouldn't last very long in any event, Mr. Shannon. But I tell you what, you stop drinking and live a quite easy life, and I call around in the fortnight to have another look at you.
I'll do that, Doctor.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to have to cause you so much anxiety, Mr. Shannon, but it's always better to stand up to things. Keep your chin up, Mr. Shannon.
No man ever saw Mick Shannon's chin down yet. I'm not afraid of going, but I'm a bit uneasy at the same time.
That's only natural, Mr. Shannon. Well, good evening.
Good evening, Doctor. Mary?
What did he say?
Oh, not much. Mary, I think I'll go up to bed. I feel a bit tired. Will you bring me up a bite of supper?
I will.
And I think I won't go to work at all in the morning. I'll take it easy.
All right, Michael. Whatever you wish.
Good night, Mary.
Good night, Michael.
Good night, Marion.
Good night, Mr. Michael.
I don't know what on earth has come over that man. He hasn't been at work now for 3 days. Did he go to see either? No. I told him that Mr. Macmillan would sack him if he doesn't go tomorrow, but he says he doesn't care.
There's something queer about it all. He looks as well as ever.
God forgive me, but I think it's his mind that's gone. He sits here at times reading the Bible. Then he starts talking to himself. And last night I came in and found him gazing at a photograph of Lizzie Casey that he found upstairs. He held out the photo like this, and then says he, I wonder if I could put up with you for 3 weeks. Maureen, I think the poor fellow's beginning to dote.
He doesn't go near the public house either.
No, that might be the cause of it. He drank a lot, and the sudden change might affect his mind.
There he should have it stopped by degrees.
Maybe if he took an odd bottle of stout, he'd come back to normal. Yes, that's an idea. Do you know what I'll do, Maureen? I'll run up and get a bottle of stout and have it for him when he comes into his tea. Will you stay here till I come back?
Certainly.
And if he comes in the meantime, don't tell him where I'm gone.
All right.
Tis 30 years since I cried before.
Were you crying, Uncle Michael? For what?
Oh, I'm crying, Maureen, because it's such a grand evening. Ah, but you wouldn't understand. When you go out and see the sun go down, and the whole country in a mist, you don't take any notice of it. It's just you, a grand evening. There'll be many more like it for you to come. But when I go out and see the sun go down, I only think of when I see it go down for the last time. Oh, you have no idea with Maureen.
Uncle Michael, what on earth are you talking about at all?
Marlene, I'm going to die.
Oh, for God's sake, don't be saying things like that.
To the fact, the specialist told me. He said I was suffering from an incurable heart disease and I had only 3 weeks to live.
But he couldn't mean it.
Well, I didn't believe him at first either, but now I know it's true. Don't be putting yourself out for me, Gillian. Marlene, don't be worrying yourself for me. Sure, we all have to go sometime. I know. Marlene, don't be worrying yourself because of me.
Did you tell Aunt Mary?
No, Gillian, I wouldn't tell her at all. She'll know soon enough.
But you'll have to tell her. Maybe something could be done. Maybe she could get a better doctor.
No, I'm done for. If I had the misfortune of telling her I'd die 1,000 times instead of once.
Oh, it's terrible, terrible. Can anything be done at all?
Nothing at all, Geraldine. I'll just have to wait my out, make my peace with God, and do my best. Don't be worrying yourself. We all have to go sometime. I wouldn't have told you at all, but it's a great comfort for me to know that somebody else knows it as well as myself. Myself and the man above are always fairly good friends. I tell you, I have a few jobs to do though before I go. And I want you to help me.
I wish to be sure.
Well, I don't think you could help me with the first one.
And what's that?
It's a little bit of business I have to settle with my boss, Macmillan.
Oh, don't bother your head about him.
Oh, be dads, I'll bother my head about him. I wouldn't do myself out of one of my last pleasures of life. That fella, the way he's been treating us at that mill. You know what happened last week? You know young Malay, that's working there?
Yeah.
The poor lad, he came in some morning and he jaded tired. He had been up all night at old Finnegan's wake. And about 12 o'clock, he sat down to have a bit of a smoke. Up comes Macmillan, never said a word at all, but raised up his big paw and slapped the fag out of the young lad's mouth and told him to get back to work or he'd find himself outside the gate. Of course, the young lad explained that he was tired and he had been up the night before. You know what Macmillan said? Himself wasn't paying fellows for staying up on wakes. Now, wouldn't that drive any Christian mad?
But if you say anything to him, he'll sack you.
Oh, that doesn't matter. I have enough to keep me going for the time I've left. Oh, because I'm going to let him have it hot and heavy. He's coming down here this evening. I sing for it.
Coming here?
Yeah. I invited him to the tea. I told him I had a few bits of business to talk about. And I'm telling you that between the first and second cups, I'll tell that fellow something that'll put the hair standing on his head like a head chop.
You better not say much between the second one and the third one. He might say something that'll make the hair stand your head.
Marty, not between the second and third. Boy, gee, I wouldn't give that fellow 3 cups of tea if I was the viceroy of India.
I suppose it's no use trying to talk out of it.
No good. As I said, 'tis one of my last pleasures in life and I'm not going to deprive myself of it.
You said there were other bits of business to be done too.
There is, but I must think that over for a while yet. Do you know what you could do for me? Run over to Lizzie Casey and get her to come down here. Don't let her know that I sit for you. Whatever you do, just, usual way, get her to come down. And don't let her in.
Do you want me to go now?
You might as well, because it will take you a good while and I'll have Macmillan off my chest by the time that you get back. have passed this summer. You wouldn't leave your old friend down in his last hours, would you? Well, Fitzgibbon, what a time we've had together. It is well I remember all the fun we had. What a game it was indeed. But sure, 'twas all in the game, everything we did, Macmillan. You know, Macmillan, the first thing that I'm going up against today, I have a few things to do. And I'm very glad that you arrived to give me strength. Because you know, Macmillan, well, he knows you anyway. He's coming down here today, and I'm going to give him a bit of my mind that I've promised with the last 30 years. But before I go on to that, let's look back over some of the times we've had together. Will you ever forget the night at Julie's wedding, when you made me go dancing with that bow-legged one? What a night we had. But I'll tell you one thing I never forgot for you. When you sang me to sleep under the bush at Kelly's, and the goat came along and made streelers out of my new hat. I told you what I thought I'd do that night. Still, Fitzgibbon, 'tis all in the game, but I'm afraid the game is nearly over. Any minute now, the referee will blow his whistle and I'll have to leave the field. But there's something else I'm so pleased that you came along to help me out with. Do you know Lizzie Casey? Yeah, I sure you do, poor don't you remember the one? That's right, you get the best of you at the wedding, and you scattered her over half an acre of the kitchen floor. That big one. Well, you know, this very day I'm going to ask that one to marry me. Now, don't fall off the chair for little bush. But the whole thing is this. You know, Marianne was telling me about the story that she read about this old fella. He was happy as Larry, like myself, but he had been pestered for years by this man, waiting for the first slip of his tongue so that she could say, I will. Anyway, he got 6 months to live, and you know what he did? He married her. Well, that's what put it into my mind. You see, there's something about women, Fitzgibbon, that they always like to be able to say they got their man. Still, I suppose I might as well make the poor old creature happy. If 'tis the last thing I do, I might as well serve my purgatory here as later on.
Batchelor, Mr. Macmillan's coming up to the door. It must be you he wants.
What is me? He wants all right. I sent for him.
You sent for him?
I did. I told him I had a little bit of business to discuss with him. And while you're at it too, Mary, bring up an extra cup. He'll be staying for the tea.
Michael Shannon, are you leaving your mind? Did you ask Mr. Macmillan to come here without telling me and the state the house is in?
'Tis good enough for that whole Egypt. He'll be along now in a minute.
Such a thing to do, you might have told me.
Oh, Fitzgibbon knows the time. Now we're in for it, and I give that fellow what he deserves.
Here's Mr. Macmillan now, Michael.
Good evening, Mr. Macmillan.
Good evening, Shannon.
Sit down and make yourself at home.
No, thank you, Shannon. I have not time to spare. What do you want to see me about?
Oh, that little bit of business will wait till well sorted. Sit down and relax yourself.
I tell you, Shannon, I'm a busy man. I have other things to attend to, you know.
My, oh my, but 'tis a busy man you are.
Look here, man. This rigmarole is all right in its own place, but I'm a busy man, and I can't afford to waste all my time here. Will you please come to the point? Why did you ask me to come here?
I have a few words to say to
Well,
you.
for heaven's sake, say them.
All right, Macmillan, I will say them.
Did you call me Macmillan?
And if you call me Shannon since you came in.
Be careful, Shannon. Be very careful.
My dear man, I've been careful with you for the past 30 years. I invited you down here this evening to tell you something that I've been dying to tell you since I first set eyes on your lovely clock. Sit down there and listen to me. Why, gee, you're going to hear me out even if I have to nail into that chair. you're going to hear me tell you what a ugly, bully, stuck-up old pig you are.
Shannon, do you realise what you're saying?
I do realise it. And I realise that I should be saying it for 30 years ago. For 30 years, you've been treating the men at the mill and myself just like dogs. And all we ever got from you outside of bad wages was impudence and bad manners. You didn't even have the good manners to be polite to us. Sit down and listen to me.
Don't shout at me, you drunken imbecile. If you think I'm going to sit there and let an uneducated galoot like you insult me, you're mistaken. Nor will I lower my dignity by attempting to argue with you. So I bid you good evening, Mr. Shannon, and goodbye. It is hardly necessary for me to inform you that you are no longer in my employment.
Michael Shannon, you're stark staring mad. Did you hear what you said to Mr. Macmillan?
I did, and I hope he has it too. Silly old sonny walked out of me before I got right started.
What's wrong with you at all?
There's nothing wrong with me, Mary. I stopped your all whinging.
But he's after sacking you.
It doesn't matter.
Why doesn't it matter?
It just doesn't matter.
Come on. I'm there, you're crying. What's wrong?
Everything's wrong, Maureen, child. If you heard what that uncle of yours is after saying to Mr. Macmillan.
I said, damn all him. If you had what I didn't say to him, you'd have something to say.
What's all this about? Who brought the cough?
Oh, he bumped into her when she was ringing the shop at the tail, the old elephant.
Why is it that God is giving me so much trouble? Come on down, have a cup of tea with them and Mary. Make you feel better. Lizzie Casey's down in the kitchen.
Lizzie Casey? When did she come in? I hope she didn't hear all that was going on.
No, she's just in. I got Lizzie, all right, and come on. Will I send her up to you?
No, not yet. You're being wet. They cool down.
Did you say much to Macmillan?
Not half as much as I wanted to say to him. He walked out to me before I got started, but he got a good idea what I meant.
Poor Aunt Mary was very upset. I still think you ought to told her what it's all about.
No, Gertie, I want you to. Soon enough she'll know.
What did she think of it at all? First of all, you lose your job, and now you're going to ask Lizzie Casey to marry you. She'd think you've gone mad.
Well, maybe I am mad. Maybe you would be mad too if you had only 3 weeks to live. The silly old Egypt went to keep in mind himself and let me die for my time, Jim. What made you think I was going to ask Lizzie Casey to marry me?
The man in the book, Uncle Michael. The man in the book. But honestly, what will poor Aunt Mary think? She'd think you're off your nut.
Well, as I say, maybe you'd be off your nut too if you were in my position. Well,
Don't let it upset you, Uncle Michael.
Well, it upset me at all. And Lizzie's down the kitchen. Listen, what did the fellow in the book say?
And whatever you do, don't tell her the real reason why you're going to marry her. Pretend that you love her, and that you always want her to be near you. Do you know all the usual stuff? Tell her you like the colour of her eyes and her hair.
Do you want me to face my creator with my soul blackened with lies?
God won't mind. Every woman likes to be told these things, especially by someone she loves.
Well, how could I tell her that I like the colour of her hair when it makes me seasick? and the colour of her eyes? They remind me of something I saw in a bad dream. Now, if her hair was as nice as yours and her eyes as brown, it would be a pleasure. But we're talking about Lizzie Casey. Elizabeth Casey.
Well, if you want to make her happy, you might as well do it right.
All right. So long as I don't have to sing to her.
The man in the book thanked her. Uncle Michael, you don't understand women at all. There's not one bard who doesn't like a bit of romance. Most of them get it. But if you like Lizzie Casey, you're passed over. Do your best, Uncle Michael, and make the poor thing happy for once in her life.
Marion, you're a grand little girl. And I hope that you'll meet the fella that'll tell you what a lovely girl you are.
Maybe he will.
You know, I have a secret to tell you. Do you know the fellow that examined me, the specialist?
I saw him, but I didn't know who he was at the time.
By God, and he was very interested in you. You know, he wanted to let on, he wanted to find out about my background and all the rest of it, but I knew well what he was leading up to. He was really interested in you, and he'll be coming back here in about 2 weeks' time. And if I were you, I wouldn't be far away when he does come.
Maybe you're just being inquisitive. I'll send up Lizzie.
Do that. Oh, Fitzgibbon, Fitzgibbon! Don't leave me in this awful hour. Good evening, Lizzie. Good evening. Come in, sit down. It is a grand day. Maybe the weather might pick up a bit now. We could do a bit now for the harvest.
We could indeed, Mike.
We had no summer at all, Lizzie.
Can't you?
How's your mother?
Oh, she's friendly, sir.
How was the Batchelor and she got?
It was indeed.
Oh, well, the health is the main thing after all.
It is vital.
Well, that's a grand head of hair you got there, Lizzie. I said, that's a grand head of hair you got. And you got the two nicest days I ever saw in a woman's head. They're lovely, so they are.
You just laugh me around, Michael. What do you want me to do for you?
Oh, I don't want you to do nothing for me, Lizzie. I'm only just telling you what any man with 2 eyes in his head will tell you. 'Tis the truth.
Oh, it's a queer world. When I was worth looking at, you never bothered with me. And now I'm an old woman, and you're telling me I have beautiful eyes and lovely hair. My eyes are like your own, Michael, as grey as ashes. And my hair is like yours too. Oh, why didn't you tell me these things 40 years ago? God knows. I wanted to hear them then, but I'm afraid it's a bit late now.
Oh, it's not a bit late at all, is it? Sure, you're still a fine young girl and I'm a young man.
Oh, there's many a silver thread among the girls all the same, Michael.
Darling, I know silver threads among the gold shine upon my brow today. Life is fading fast away, but my darling, you will be always young and fair to me. Always young and fair to me.
Michael, this is making love to me, you are.
I'm asking you to marry me, and it has nothing. Come back here a minute. I'm asking you to marry me, but it has nothing to do with the bill. You never told me whether you would marry me or not.
Michael, darling, can you not see it in my eyes?
silver threads among the cord. Lads, that wouldn't have been an awful way no if I didn't die.
I can't believe he's getting married in the morning. They used to say women had queer minds, but that man would leave them all in the shade. The first thing he does after getting the sack is to ask Lizzie to marry him.
And married? Did he not tell you why he's getting married?
No. Has he any special reason?
He has. He told me not to tell you, but I have to tell you.
Well, tell me.
He's going to die.
What did you say?
He's going to die.
Maureen, what are you saying at all?
It's a fact. He told me not to tell you, but I couldn't keep the secret any longer. You know the specialist that was here the other evening told me he'd only 3 weeks to live.
A specialist? What specialist?
Don't you remember?
Oh, I know. Maureen, my poor girl, don't be wasting your tears on him. He's not going to die. The specialist, as you call him, was only pulling his leg.
Pulling his leg?
I see the whole thing now, and the Egypt went and got himself sacked.
And Mary, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll tell you. First of all, that specialist was no more a specialist than I am. He came in here to try to sell me a book on how to wash delicate garments or something. We got talking about husbands, then about brothers, and to make a very long story short, he guaranteed to cure Michael of drinking if I'd buy some of his books. Don't you see? He pretended he was a doctor and must have told Michael he'd be dead in 3 weeks if he didn't stop drinking. 'Twould be funny if it hadn't turned out so serious. The poor fool believed him and started behaving like a lunatic.
And Uncle Michael was going to die after all.
He lived to be 99 and a half.
We better tell him quickly. Where is he?
Maureen, sit down now for a minute.
But I want to tell him. The poor man suffered long enough.
Well, I think he's going to suffer longer.
What do you mean? Are we not going to tell him?
Not yet. What do you think would happen if we told him now?
Nothing would happen. He'd be delighted.
And what about Lizzie Casey? Do you think he'd tie himself to her if he found out he wasn't going to die?
But you wouldn't want him to marry her under false pretenses.
Maureen, the whole parish knows that Michael and Lizzie are to be married in the morning. In fact, the whole country knows it. Now, wouldn't Lizzie be in a nice predicament if Michael backed out now? She'd be the laughing stock of Ireland.
Aren't we in a nice fix? That was a rotten trick to play on poor Uncle Michael.
But Maureen, dear, I didn't know what that rascal was going to tell him.
3 weeks to live. And now he's almost married and lost his job. Wait till that fella comes around here ever again. He'll not leave him one piece. What on earth are we going to do?
I think we should let him get married. Lizzie's a good woman, and she'll look after him well. I've made arrangements to leave anyway. Yes, I think the best thing to do is to let him go ahead with the wedding and then tell him.
But there'll be holy war.
But what else can we do? Then I'll go up to Mr. Macmillan and explain things to him. And maybe he'll give Michael his job again. Although I doubt that. The things he said to him. You're very late, Michael.
I know.
I think you should go on to bed. Remember, you have to be up early in the morning.
And you mustn't be late in the morning. It shouldn't do to keep poor Lizzie waiting. And I'm sure she'll be soon as there as the chapel opens.
If she doesn't pitch a tent that tonight and sleep on the steps.
Are you nervous?
No, not a bit. As a matter of fact, no, Marlene, you know, 'tis tonight I'm supposed to die.
Oh no, you've another while yet.
Ah, but what good is it? 'Tis a kind of a suspended animation. God, you know, but 'tis an awful world too. 'Tis only when you're going to die that you realise the things in this life that you have missed. God be with the days when I was a fine, happy, healthy man. Why the devil didn't I enjoy myself when I had the opportunity? Ah, but sure, you wouldn't understand it. You're too young to understand things like that, man. For the past week now, I cleared my soul of every debt and obligation that I had. And now I'm about the only fellow in this parish with a clear conscience. And I have to die. Ah, it's a queer place, Marion. Well, I suppose there isn't any hope as far as you think. But I can assure you, I hope there isn't. Because if I thought there was any hope, do you think that I'd put the ring on the one that I'm putting it on in the morning? No way whatsoever. But I'll tell you what, if I had anything to give to you, Marion, you'd be the first to get it. But I'll tell you something that'll be worth £1,000 to you. If you live every minute as if 'twas your last, and do everything good in life, you'll be the happiest girl in the world. If every man, woman and child got a taste of death when they were young, there'd be no quarrelling or fighting or blood spilling for things that didn't matter at all. But like I said before, how could I expect you to understand that? You're too young.
Why don't you keep on hoping that you won't die?
Didn't I tell you? Keep hoping that I won't die. Do you really think that I'd put a ring on her if I was going to be sure that I wouldn't die? No. As a matter of fact, no, I hope the specialist was right and that I will die.
But supposing when the specialist came back he told you that you're going to live after all?
I'd get another specialist, and be Jeff, he didn't give me my passport, I'd die of some other disease.
Michael, before we go to bed, I think you ought to go through the wedding ceremony, just in case you make a mistake in the morning.
I'll be making mistakes in the morning no matter what I do.
That's nice to talk the night before your wedding. Come over here now and go through the performance with myself and Maureen.
I've got to not get any rest at all on his last night of freedom.
Stand there. Now, imagine Maureen is listening Katie.
Not in my wildest dreams of fancy.
Maureen, you stand this place.
You might as well try the course.
Now, when you walk to the altar, that's the way you'll be. The best man and the bridesmaid will be standing right behind you. You'll be kneeling, of course. Now, the priest will tell you to hold Lizzie's hand. And then he'll ask if you, Michael Shannon, will take Elizabeth Casey here to be thy lawful wedded wife or something like that. And you say you will.
Why, gee, I doubt it very much. I can't show my common sense will get the better of me. When I see the horn in the morning with a big flowy hat, a bunch of rhododendrons sprouting out of her left shoulder, my common sense is bound to get the better of me, and I leave her floating out of the altar.
Come over here and none of you nonsense. Get up.
What kind of a court? How did I wasn't consulted? What kind of an idiot was the fellow who made it? Now behind the back of the court. Have your white pants to go with it? Would you like to see me? Just get me a white pants with it now, and they'll have it in local Gazette. The marriage of the century. It won't be in the marriage column, it will be in the zoology column. Penguin marries elephant.
Now, after that, the priest will tell you to repeat some words after him. And then...
He'll be looking if I don't repeat them before him.
And then you'll be told to put on the ring. You'll put it on the third finger of her left hand. The priest will tell you anyway. And don't be awkward about it.
Don't be awkward about it. You don't think I put on a Victoria war.
And I don't want you to make the show of yourself.
All right, what's next?
That's all, I think.
Thanks, Pete.
After that, then, you'll have to go into the sacristy and sign the priest's book.
My God, he's a wise man and he making me put it in writing.
And when you come out of the chapel, Uncle Michael, you'll have to kiss the bride. I better go home and get some sleep, Amelia. I'll see you in the morning. All right, tomorrow. Good night.
Are you happy, Michael?
Oh, I'm as happy as Larry.
So am I. I was nearly giving up hope of you, but I suppose all's well that isn't well.
I suppose so. Any sign of my tea?
I was waiting for your sister Maureen. They said they'd be over this evening. You don't mind waiting?
No, not indeed.
Of course, if we wanted, I'll get it for you.
Oh, it's all right, it's all right. Time enough.
Are you sure now?
I'm stuck.
Still, it's a long time since you had your dinner. Maybe I'll make it for you.
No, don't bother because of me.
Maybe I'll have a bit of snuff while you're waiting, Michael. To be good for you.
No. No. Will I be here soon, do you think?
You must be very hungry. Do you know I'll make a cup for you?
I know, don't bother about me. I'm all right. I'm not a bit hungry.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Still, it might be a long time before they come. I think I'll wait.
No, it's all right.
Will you have a poached egg or anything while you're waiting, Michael?
No, it's all right. Don't bother about me, Lizzie.
Sure?
Positive, positive, positive.
All right, we'll wait. Oh, that must be them now.
I'm like some sort of wedding for the league.
Michael, you wanted down at the mill quick?
At the mill? What's wrong?
I don't know, the men went on strike because Macmillan sacked you and there's terrible trouble. Go on down quick.
We gotta better go down so and see what's up.
I'm coming with you, Michael.
How well will you be going?
Michael, my place is by your side. Remember we said for better for worse.
Listen, woman. You just stay there where you are.
No, it's my duty to go. Mary, you come too. Maureen, you stay and mind the house till I come back.
All right. Farewell, farewell to the setting sun. Farewell, farewell to the golden world. Farewell, farewell, for my day is done, and sadly at sunset my flag is furled.
Farewell, farewell to the spreading oak, beneath whose shade we sang our song. Farewell, farewell to the comrade foe. Farewell, farewell to the passing song.
Do you usually walk into houses without even knocking?
I met Mr. Shannon at the door and he told me to come in. May I sit down?
Two.
Thank you. It was a nice evening.
'Tis.
It was a nice day.
'Twas.
You know, I don't seem to be very welcome around here.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Oh dear, have I been a bad boy?
Why did you tell Uncle Mike that he'd only 3 weeks to live?
Oh, that surely. That didn't do him any harm. It's a good thing for a man to think he's going to die. It makes him behave himself.
It makes him do many things.
Why? What did your uncle do?
Oh, he merely told off his boss lost his job.
Lost his job? Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't think he'd do anything like that.
Wait till I tell you the rest. Thinking that he'd only 3 weeks before him, he went and married Lizzie Casey.
He got married? Oh my God! What have I done? And who's Lizzie Casey? Don't tell me she's the flying factors I saw there out the door.
That's Lizzie.
And damn it, couldn't one of you have told him to all the hoax before he made such an ass of himself?
I didn't know it was a hoax till it was too late. I thought you were a doctor, and Mary was the only one who knew who you were, and Uncle Michael didn't tell her.
And does he know now?
No, we were afraid to tell him.
Well, I better tell him myself before he does any more damage.
Are you married?
No,
Have you anyone depending on you?
no.
You can tell him for like.
Mr. Henry, I hurried back as soon as I could to see you. Do you realise what you've done?
I have a rough idea.
And aren't you ashamed of yourself?
The only emotion of which I'm capable at this moment is an overwhelming feeling of pity for that poor man that married Lizzie Casey.
Well, you'd better keep all your pity for yourself, because you're going to tell him that it was all a joke.
I suppose I'll have to. Will he take it bad, do you think?
He'll probably break every bone in your body. But maybe your precious book will tell you how to fix broken bones too.
There's no need to rub it in me, Shannon. 'Twas my fault. I thought I was playing a harmless joke on him, and it misfired. I'll explain the whole thing to him. Then, if he breaks every bone in my body, I'll have them reset at my own expense. I'll even go to his boss and tell him what happened. Maybe he'll have a sense of humour and give him his job back.
I don't think you'll have to go to all that trouble. Michael himself has just gone up to Mr. Macmillan. The men at the mill went on strike and won't go back unless Michael gets his job again. There's a deputation gone to Macmillan and Michael's gone with her.
And where's Lizzie? She's gone with the deputation too. She refused to leave him.
The poor man.
Between you and me and the gatepost, Mr. Henry, I'm glad he married Lizzie Casey. But if he doesn't get his job back, well, when Michael has finished breaking every bone in your body, I'll start making pulp with him.
And then this young lady here can put him in an urn and cremate him. Oh, what charming people you are.
3 weeks to live. Some of the young gentlemen of the rising generation are too smart for words.
Ah well, I suppose I might as well be happy for my last few moments in this earth. This poem seems to be apt in quite a few places. Farewell, farewell to the passing song. Farewell, farewell to the comrade foe. Farewell, farewell to my days done. Farewell, farewell. Farewell, farewell to the tender flowers. Farewell, farewell to the gentle rain. Farewell, farewell all ye happy hours. Farewell till we meet again. Ah well, I'm not married, and I have no dependents. I'll not be missed.
I wouldn't like to see you getting all your bones broken all the same. You're so young.
Sad, isn't it?
There's a way out of it, you know.
Oh, suicide?
You're very funny, but there's a simple way out of it.
Oh, I'm dying to hear it.
Can't you keep on pretending that you're a doctor? Examine me again and say that he live after all?
No, couldn't work. I couldn't go around pretending I was a doctor for the rest of my days.
Why wouldn't it work? He believed you before, and he believed you again.
No, the best thing to do is to make a clean breast of it. Then, let him do his worst. If I'm still alive, I can come and go without having to pretend anything.
You mustn't tend to be round here often.
Oh, I certainly do.
Here's Michael now, Mr. Henry. Maureen, come on down to the kitchen. This will be no place for a girl before very long.
Good luck.
You'll need it.
Oh yes, let me like a soldier die. Good evening, Mr. Shannon.
Good evening, Doctor. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, but there was a little trouble down at the mill and I found myself in the middle of it.
Oh dear, oh dear. I hope everything is all right now.
Well, it is and it isn't. I tell you how it all happened. When you told me I had only 3 weeks to live, I went and gave Macmillan, the boss, a bit of my mind, and he fired me. Well, I expected he would anyway. That didn't make any difference in the time I had left. But you know what happened? The men at the mill, they went on strike. They had a bit of a demonstration today, and a deputation went to Macmillan. They told him they wouldn't go back to work until I got my job back.
And how did they fare out?
Oh, they frightened the liver out of him. His wife made him give me my job back.
That's wonderful, Mr. Shannon. Oh, that reminds me. I believe I have to congratulate you on your marriage. Did I meet your missus with you when I met you on the team in the street some time ago?
But you couldn't help seeing her.
Now, Mr. Shannon, don't be chatty. I'm sure both of you are very happy now that you got your job back.
Oh, what damn good is my job to me? When I could die any day. Well, you know, Doctor, you have no idea what I've been through since you were here last. I died 1,000 times. I died every time I saw the soot go down. Every time that I heard the engines ring, I thought of the day when I'd hear it for the last time. You know, Doctor, I died every time that I saw a friend that I know will be after me when I'm gone. You have no idea what I've suffered. I sure have died 1,000 times. And I suppose I'll die another 1,000 before it really comes on me in the end. It is a terrible way to be.
Mr. Shannon, I have a confession to make.
Excuse me, Michael, but where's Lizzie? Didn't she come back with you?
No, Mary, she's still down arguing with Macmillan. You know, she's looking for £5 a week extra on my wages. And I had to laugh because she told Macmillan she'd starve on the wages he was giving me. He told her she could afford to starve for a month and we wouldn't miss nothing afterwards. She'll be back in a minute.
As I was saying, Mr. Shannon, I have a confession to make.
A confession, Doctor? What kind of a confession?
Mr. Shannon, I'm not a doctor at all.
What do you mean you're not a doctor?
I mean, just as I say, I'm not the doctor at all. I know nothing about medicine, and when I told you you had only 3 weeks to live, I was only pulling your leg.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Start again there where you said I have a confession.
I'm trying to tell you I'm not a doctor. I came here about a fortnight ago to try to sell your sister a book on domestic economy. Somehow or other, the subject came around to drink. I guarantee to cure you from drinking if your sister will buy one of my books. Well, I printed it with the doctor, and you know the rest. I'm sorry, Mr. Shannon, if my little joke has got you into any kind of a mess. I'm very sorry, Mr. Shannon, but I didn't think you'd do the mad things you have done. For heaven's sake, don't stand there staring at me. Say something. Tell me you'll break every bone in my body. Say something.
The complete household encyclopedia. Say something. For once in my life, I'm speechless.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Shannon, if my little joke has got you into any kind of a mess.
Your little joke? You call that a little joke? You call tying myself for the rest of my life to a, I don't know what to call it. You call that a little joke?
I said I was sorry, didn't I?
You're sorry, are you? Why, Jay, you'll be a damn sight sorrier before you leave here, lad. 3 weeks to live, and me making a blooming idiot of myself going around reading poetry and doing this and that. You won't have a bone left before you leave this house, that's sure to you.
Don't shout, Mr. Shannon. Do you want Lizzie Casey to hear us?
I don't give a damn who hears me.
Ah, but if she knew the real reason why you married her, she wouldn't be very pleased now, would she?
I don't care whether she'd be pleased or not. still, maybe it would be better if she didn't know the reason. My God, if she ever found out that, I might as well pack my bags straight away. It would be a real murder after that. You know what, in spite of all your little jokes, if you mention to that one the reason I married her, you won't leave this house alive.
I don't know whether I will or not. After all, you're not being very nice to me, are you?
All right, I won't say nothing. You and your little joke. It was a nice way to set me up, wasn't it?
Do you know, Mr. Shannon, you're behaving very strangely for a man that felt he wasn't going to die.
Going to die? What do you mean, going to die? Tie myself for the next half century to her? And you think that I'd be happy because I'm not going to die? Gee, that's them down there now. We've got the chalk yawn down there hear us. Or I really have my chips. Don't say nothing, you know, they'll be coming in a minute. I suppose we want to have anything. We let them come in.
Hello.
Oh, hello. I'm still alive.
I better go and I leave you on your own. I'm sure you'll like it.
I'm glad to hear it.
A last minute inspiration saved me.
An inspiration.
Blackmail. I threatened to tell Lizzie Casey the real reason why he married her, so he let me off.
I thought of that myself too. And Mary said it'd be better not to tell her. So we're not going to tell her.
No.
Sorry. Lizzie's after getting Mr. Macmillan to make Michael a foreman with an extra £5 a week. She said she wouldn't let him go back to work except on those conditions. And if he didn't go back to work, the men would stay on strike. She's a great woman. I'd advise you to go while you're still all in one piece.
Oh no, don't go yet. Stay and have a cup of tea. Uncle Michael won't begrudge to know that he's getting an extra £5 a week.
Oh, I'd love to stay.
The men used to do the chasing in my day.
Am I chasing her?
I hope so.
Damn it, you know, Lizzie's not a bad old girl after all. She'll have to get him Macmillan to give me an extra £5 a week on my wages. If she keeps that up, I'll be able to return no team.
I don't know what you to complain about, Mr. Shannon. Lizzie hasn't the figure of a snake, but she's a good, sensible woman, and she's looking after your house well.
Yes, mind you, she hasn't the figure of a snake, as you say. Far from it. But if she keeps out of my way, feeds me well, things might be turned out too bad. I suppose you didn't mean your little jokes to turn out the way it did anyway. I suppose when she comes back from Macmillan now, we'll hear all about her again. But still, £5 a week, you know, is not to be sneezed at. That means an awful lot extra to me.
That's right, Mr. Shannon. And then you have this new family allowance.
I'm not interested in your family allowance. And even if I was, I wouldn't be the only one.
Is that meant for me?
Oh, I saw your old antics when I came in. Mind you, she's a very nice little girl.
She is. Would you put in a good word for me?
I won't. I mean, you're all love making.
I'm afraid I'm not much of a hand at that.
There's nothing to it. Just tell her that you like the colour of her hair and her eyes. And sing a song to her, even if you have the voice of a drag, which is what you have.
You seem to know all about it.
Oh, I did a little bit of it in my day.
The tea is ready now, Uncle Michael. We have it here.
So, I'll go on and help you to bring it up. I suppose in spite of a little joke you might as well stay for a cup too. I'll go down and give Lizzie a hand to bring up the tea.
Oh, by all means, I wouldn't be a spoil sport for anything.
What do you mean spoil sport? If you think I'm going down there to be with that one, you're mistaken. I'm going down to give that idiot there a chance to do some of the foolish things I did. A spoil sport. I suppose for the rest of my life, everywhere I'll go, I'll be falling over her. Without any doubt whatever.
Thank you. were born. If we only had the pipe and bread, the hair was in the corn. The buildings up to the best of his ability. The ladies and the gentlemen began to do their share. Bathed in naked shoes and got the agility begun. Cap me or left me like a hair. Like a hair, they got the middle. Down, hands around, rats to the wall. I'll be the gaiety and the ball. Then, tip your wing to this trumpet hat. I think it's really types to see to pass around the hat. So had you passed the carving round and looking mighty good. As you press the bed, the pipe for waiting tunes and the flute. And they all joined in the greatest joviality. Buffering the Batchelor, the shuttle and the pot. Jingle dance, stump the band, the finest quality. The wind went off the day it had to leave. And the jump down, flute and the whistle and the whistle up, up. It's like a herring on the middle. Up, down, hands around, passing to the wall. Boys, play the game, and will the music fall.
Thank you. a maid, and the third was the young boy who smiled as he said, with the wind in the willows and the birds in the sky, there's a bright side to our life wherever we lie. We have bread and fishes and a jug of red wine for to share on our journey with all of mankind. I asked them to tell me their name and their place, so that I might remember their kindness and ways. My name is Joseph, this is Mary, my wife, and this is our young son, who is our delight. With the wind in the willows and the birds in the sky, there's a bright side to our life wherever we lie. We have bread and fishes and a jug of red wine for to share on our journey with all of mankind. Sadly, I left them on that old country lane, for I knew that I never would meet them again. One was an old man, the second a maid, and the third was to Jesus, who smiled as he said, with the wind in the willows and the birds in the sky, there's a bright side to our life wherever we lie. We travel the whole world by land and by sea, for to tell all the people how they might be free. I never will marry, I'll be no man's wife. I intend to stay single all the days of my life. I never will marry, I'll be no man's wife. I intend to stay single my life. I never will marry. I'll be no man's wife. I intend to stay single all the days of my life.
Lindy, did you hear that mockingbird sing last night? Honey, he was singing that sweet in the moonlight, singing around my old linden tree, filling the air with melody. I know he was singing of you, my Lindy Lou, Lindy Lou. I'd lay right down and die, and die, if I could sing like that bird sings to you, my little Lindy Lou. Lindy, did you smell that honeysuckle vine last night? Honey, he was smelling that sweet in the moonlight, clinging round my old cabin door, whispering he loved you so. I know that's the way I love you, my Lindy Lou, Lindy Lou. I'd lay right down and die, and die, if I could be as sweet as that to you, my little Lindy Lou. Lindy, did you feel that south wind blowing last night? Honey, he was kissing you sweet in the moonlight, blowing round my old bayou, telling me he loved you so. Honey, that's the way I love you, my Lindy Lou, Lindy Lou. I'd lay right down and die, and die, if I could be as sweet as kissing you, my little Lindy Lou. Old man river, that old man river, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling, he keeps on rolling along. He don't plant potatoes, he don't plant cotton, and them that plants 'em is soon forgotten. but Old Man River, he just keeps rolling along. You and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge, lift that bale, you get a little drunk, and you land in jail. I get so weary and sick of trying, I'm tired of living and feared of dying, but Old Man River, he just keeps rolling along. Niggers all work by the Mississippi, niggers all work while the white folks play, pulling those boats from the dawn to sunset, getting no rest till the judgment day. Don't look up and don't look down, you don't just make the white boss frown. Bend your knee and bow your head and pull that rope until you're dead. Take me way back from the Mississippi, take me way back from the white man, boss. Give me that stream called the River Jordan, that's the old stream that I long to cross. Old Man River, that Old Man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling, he keeps on rolling along. He don't plant potatoes, he don't plant cotton, and them that plants 'em is soon forgotten. But Old Man River, he just keeps rolling along. You and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Tote that barge, lift that bale, you get a little drunk, and you land in jail. I get weary and sick of trying, I'm tired of living and feared of dying, but Old Man River, he just keeps rolling along.
I'm a riding down the Sunset Trail, 'cause we're getting Horsey, horsey, don't you stop. Just let your feet go, lippity top, little tail go swish and the wheels go run. Giddy up, we're homeward bound. Horsey, horsey, on your way. We've done the journey many a day. Let your tail go swish and the wheels go run. Giddy up, we're homeward bound. We ain't in a hurry and we ain't in a hurry, so don't go tearing up the road. We ain't in a hunt and we ain't in a bus and we ain't got a hurry anymore. So, horsey, horsey, don't you stop. Just let your feet go, lippity top, let your tail go swish and the wheels go run. Giddy up, we're homeward bound.
Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. And then methought my dream was changed, the streets no longer rang. Hushed were the glad hosannas, the little children sang. The sun grew dark with mystery, the morn was cold and chill, as the shadow of a cross arose upon a lonely hill. As the shadow of a cross arose upon a lonely hill. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, hark, for the night is o'er. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Rhymagwch, Rhymagwch, Silas.